What's going on, everybody? This is the Command Dudes. I'm Zach, and we're going to be talking about all the new cards that got released today from New Capenna. Now, this set got me hyped for multiple reasons. First one being, we're going to talk about all these new legendary creatures, kind of houses that they're from, and we're going to be talking about all the things that really stood out to me from today's stream. So let's dive in, starting with Zeatora. Zeatora, the Incinerator. It is a 6-mana commander, 3 enjund, 6/6 flying. Its effect is nuts. It is Jund Jared. It is the things that I love doing in Magic on one card. It's great. So at the beginning of your end step, when you may sacrifice another creature. When you do, you deal power or deal damage equal to that creature's power to any target, and you make 3 treasures. You're ramping. You're flinging your freaking Lord of Extinction at somebody. You're doing crazy things. The deck is nuts. Even if you're flinging 1/1, you're getting 3 treasure, ramp for 3 for doing basically nothing. It is primo dealo. I love this card. It is sick. Tons of fun cards you can put in there. A bunch of crazy things you can do. Build it really mean. Make people not have creatures with like some sacrifice synergies. Bunch of shenanigans are available to you. Not as hyped about his right-hand man, the Hinzi Toolbox Tory, or a Toolbox Tony as I call him. Pretty lame, I'm not gonna lie. This card doesn't really do much for me. It's almost like sneak attack, and then you get to draw cards when they die, but you know, you gotta cast your commander over and over and over to get like a decent discount, because otherwise you're just paying the actual mana cost for the creature to give it haste and then kill itself. Not the best thing in the world. I'm assuming you're running like Astronaut's Altars and Phyrexian Altars, all these kind of tools to be able to sacrifice a commander, generate some mana, and replay it again. That being said, you know, is it worth it at the end of the day? Do you want to keep on taxing your commander out of the world? Like, it seems pretty nuts. Things you can do to, you can't even really cheat around it because you got to cast it from the command zone is what it says. So, yeah, just to go over the card, it's a Jund mana, black, red, green. It's a 3/3. It says you may cast creatures with mana value 4 or greater as though they had Blitz, and you pay its mana cost as the Blitz cost, and then they cost 1 generic less for each time you cast your commander from the command zone. So it does make it 1 less if you wanted to Blitz it just by casting it once. You get the real value. You want to get those big juicy creatures. You're gonna have to do that over and over. A lot of work. Not the biggest reward for it. I don't know. Not a big fan. Cool reanimator deck though. I mean, your things are gonna be dying. Might as well be reanimated and get them back. I don't know. Also, the dude's look. Not digging it. Not digging how this guy's looking at me. Next up, we got Raffian, the Scheming Seer. Now, this card and its effect is just not. It's just not doing it for me. Yeah, Connive, not doing it for me. You know, commander that has ward, great. Flying, great. You have this evasion, natural protection. It draws you cards. It's awesome. Blue, white, black, Esper, going wide isn't the thing that I'm thinking to do with this kind of colors. I'm thinking control. I'm thinking like having a really powerful creature that kind of warps the field, like a Dreamcrawler or something, or Trawler, whatever it's called. Those are the effects I'm thinking of getting off with this thing. And it says when you attack, target attacking creature connives X, where X is the number of attacking creatures. So you have a whole bunch of things attacking, you draw a whole bunch of cards, and you make one thing pretty big. Pretty cool. Probably also like a reanimator deck. Somehow you're utilizing your graveyard to give you, I don't know, extra turns, or extra draw power, for some delve things. You're also setting up, you get to know what you kind of see in your deck. You're working through it, you're giving yourself more resources if you're using your graveyard properly. And it's got flying. So if you can get a whole bunch of creatures, you make your commander pretty big pretty quick, that's pretty cool. But I think it's going to be kind of hard to do in these colors, and I don't know. I think the other commander, Kamiz, Obscura, Oculus, does this kind of effect a lot better, in my opinion. It's 4 mana, 1 and Esper, 2/4. When you attack, target attacking creature can't be blocked, it connives, and then choose another attacking creature with lesser power, it gains double strike. This is pretty sweet. So you kind of build this deck more instead of going wide. You're building this deck with, you get some really big things. That thing is unblockable. It punches through, and it gets even bigger. Then you have your smaller things, your utility creatures like your Esper Sentinels, things like that. They're getting double strike. They're able to attack where they really couldn't otherwise. And it gives you just a lot more reach with your board, kind of. I think this one is a lot more optimized for commander and for kind of pushing to win games. The other one, it's in a weird spot. I'd like to see people use it. I think it could be good in other decks, but maybe not as the head of a deck itself. Next family we are talking about is, I don't know what the name of the family is, but we're talking about Falco Sparrow Hacked Weaver. It's 1 and Bant. It's a flying trample 3/3. Enters the battlefield, you put it with a shield counter. That means that it next time it takes damage or would be destroyed, you instead take off the shield counter. Then you can cast spells from the top of your library by removing a counter from a creature you control, in addition to paying their other costs. You take a 1/1 counter off of a creature, you can cast something off the top of your deck. I think that this is it's just a boring card. It's the same thing we saw out of the D&D commander decks. You know, the Galea, you're playing the things off the top of your deck. You can see things. It doesn't really give you any extra value. Might as well just play the new jellyfish artifact commander, the memory chip thing. I don't forget the name already, but it just doesn't seem very fun, and it's just a boring card in my opinion. Using your counters to sacrifice them off to like get you the ability to cast things seems way too punishing for yourself to be able to get that kind of effect. So I don't really think this card is viable as a commander, and if it's your thing, Bird Demon, go for it. Not my thing. Now, perrier, the pulverizer, however you want to say it. I don't know how they said it. This guy is dope. 4 mana, same mana cost, 3/3. When it enters the battlefield, put a shield counter on target creature, so you can make itself basically indestructible once. You can do it to any other creature you have on the battlefield. Pretty sick. When he attacks, target creature gains trample and gains XX till end of turn, where X is the number of different kinds of counters among permanents you control. This is sick. This guy builds a deck that is crazy. You're using all the cards to create all the different kind of counters because you want as many of those different things out there to make it huge. And that is a fun commander deck building experience in my opinion. Anything that gets to let you use all those weird goofy cards from Ikoria to get all those weird different kind of counters is sick. And that's why I think this commander is going to be super cool. Only thing it doesn't do is draw you cards or give you access to other cards like the other one, but it does give you a lot of combat pressure and power and a really cool deck building experience. All right, now we're finally here. Jetmere, Nexus of Revels, has to be the most busted legendary we've seen so far. It's a 4 mana, 5/4, nutso stats. It's a juicer magooser. It gives all your creatures crazy abilities. You got 3 creatures, so you've probably played 2 creatures before playing Jetmere. You play him, all your creatures get +1, +0. They get vigilance. Then you play 3 more creatures, then they get trample, another +1. Then you play 3 more creatures, and then they all get double strike and +1/+1. By the end, you're giving everything +3, +0, double strike, trample, vigilance. You're gonna be mowing down people like no one else. This guy is nuts. There's so many ways that double tokens, double like creatures and counters and stuff going into play with these colors, and there's tons of ways to just get out of control with these same colors. You got the overrun effects, you got a whole bunch of crazy things. This is a commander to watch out for because it's gonna do some crazy things. And look, he's just a big old goofy dude having a good time. Sick commander. Kit Kanto, however, the Mayhem Diva, I'm not the biggest fan of. Pretty lackluster. It's trying to do what I don't know why they're making all these red-green things all about goading lately. And the way they do them is so suboptimal that it's like goad. It doesn't feel like it should be this hard to do kind of mechanic. Like it naturally is like a lackluster mechanic. So when you make it so hard and you have to jump through all these hoops to do it, for example, the last commander guy that had it was you enchant other opponents' creatures. That just puts you in a bad situation if things go awry, and that sucks. This taps down your creatures, and then you're left open to the other people. Now that you're goaded that one guy, they have to attack someone else. Everybody's gonna be mad at you, and they're gonna attack you. So, in my opinion, Kit Kanto, it just puts you down bad. You don't want to be down bad in Commander. You don't want to make the enemies. This is putting your shields down and making enemies. So to me, this card just ain't there, ain't doing it. And there's probably better goat commanders if you want to do that. It is a cat though, so people love their cats in this game. Now, last one. This is a very controversial family, I guess, in the Magic world. People have been getting upset since people saw this card get revealed. I'm sorry, but you're all a bunch of babies. That's all I'm gonna say about it. Zander the Collector is sick. It is such a cool card. And for people that think, oh, it's OP, oh, it's too mean, let's just break it down real quick, because I think people are overreacting, and it just opened my mind to a whole world of Magic players that I didn't know existed. So, Lord Zander, 7 mana, 4 in Grixis. When he enters the battlefield, target opponent discards half their cards in the hand. When he attacks, defending player mills half their library, rounded down. And then when he dies, target opponent sacrifices half non-land permanents, rounded down. 6/6. Artwork's dope. Get this weird sword for no reason. He's, oh yeah, this thing's sick. Whoop-bam! And then he hits you with it. He's just a cool card. I love playing mean cards like this, but realistically, right? We're turn 7. You probably don't have a grip of cards in your hand, and if you do, you're popping off. You're beating everyone basically. So if you're targeted by Zander and you have to discard your cards, it's not that big of a deal. You're going down to 3 or 4 cards. Big deal. You keep your best ones. You're still on top of the world. Realistically, very weak effect in my opinion, and it only scales down. If you have like 1 card in hand, 2 cards in hand, it's not a whole lot of value. And this guy, what people think it's just going to be this big boss that comes down. I don't think it's going to be doing a whole lot. It has a high ceiling, but it's really a short ceiling, because I feel like it's not going to do anything. I think its strongest effect is the milling effect. You get Bruvak, you one-shot somebody basically, right? You mill half their library times 2, boom, they have no library, you're winning. That's the coolest thing about this commander. That's all I want to do with this guy. Maybe copy his attack triggers so that you, mill out multiple people. That would be sick. But overall, I think all his other effects are pretty lackluster. You don't want it to die, so like you're probably just going to be chumping the guy, right? His death effect won't happen, and you're just chilling. So like, in my mind, it's pretty weak compared to what people think. And just to touch on something, I heard a lot of people saying Zander might make me start countering commanders. Just fucking do it. Counter their commander. Sometimes, if you want to win, counter people's commanders. It's not a big deal. Your commander isn't the entire deck. You have a whole bunch of other cards to play. You obviously want your commander out because people tend to build their decks around it, and it's fun to play your commander, but it's also fun having to play around counter spells. It gives you a whole depth of the game that you're not tapping into if you're not doing that. So I suggest countering your buddies' commanders when you can, if it's beneficial for you, because that makes the game of Magic a little bit richer, in my mind. Most people disagree with that, but that's what I think. His right-hand man, Anthello the Painter. This guy also freaking sick. This card is pretty busted, actually. If you wanted to build probably the best Grixis commander out of the set, this guy is probably your thing. He's probably one of the stronger Grixis commanders in general. I'm going to be building Zander because he's sick, but Anthello, pretty dope effect. So he's Grixis mana, 1/3 Death Touch. Don't want to block him. Don't want to attack into him. The first instant or sorcery spell you cast each turn has casualty 2. That means you sacrifice a creature with 2 power or more, and you copy that instant or sorcery. That's nuts. Like, sacrifice a 2/2 zombie to copy your time warp. You get 2 extra turns. Pretty nuts. Like, I'm not gonna lie, this guy has some crazy things that you can do with him. Crazy opportunities here. Definitely can be a very toxic deck if you're going the extra turns route, or if you're like stealing people's creatures and stuff like that. It could be a pretty wild ride. So this guy is actually the sleeper OP one. Don't even look at Zander if you're thinking, oh, this card's so toxic for a commander. And Anthello is way more gnarly of a commander. Definitely somebody you should watch your eyes out for. We went over all the big baddie commander dudes. Let's check out some of the other cool cards in the set. I'm going to be starting with these planeswalkers that we got spoiled today, and they're pretty cool. I love the artwork on them. Elsabeth Resplendent is a dope card. I think the first set that I started getting back into Magic was the most recent Theros set. Elsabeth was in it. She's a dope planeswalker. Been a fan of her ever since I started playing. I think she's kinda good. I mean, she gives like a +1/+1 and flying. Gives you great evasion. It can give you first strike, lifelink. It kind of fit the situation you need. It fits into those previous commander decks that care about what kind of counters you have. So it's pretty flexible there. It's -3 is pretty cool. You get to search something out, put it in play with shield counter. Pretty dope. -7, you know, you make some angels. Not the coolest thing in the world. I think her +1 ability gives her the most variance. You can put her in a whole bunch of different decks because of that. All in all, though, I think it's a pretty weak commander card. Probably a really strong draft card. I mean, getting something to play for free is really good. Draft, you're usually going to be having those like lower curve cards, so you can get in and get your damage in, try and win. And on top of that, being able to buff those things that you put into play, give them flying to get in for those extra points you need to win in a draft game. Super good late game kind of card. So yeah, I think Elsabeth's pretty good outside of maybe Commander. Not the best in Commander. Obnixilis though, homie in a suit. He's all suited up. He's sick. The adversary. He's 3 mana and he has casualty X. So if you sacrifice a creature, however big its power was, that's how many loyalty comes onto a copy of Obnixilis that isn't legendary. So you're able to kind of get going with this like little Ob engine. You +1 it. Opponents lose 2 life. If they don't discard a card, which is cool. You know, people don't want to discard cards. They also don't want to lose life. A lot better in a like standard or draft setting where you're at 20 life. Obviously, that's a big portion of your life. And in terms of those games, Commander, you know, people are probably going to be they're probably going to be taking the 2. We're going to be honest. And if you control a devil or something, you gain demon, you gain life. Almost all the commanders on the sets are that. So you'll most likely gain 2 life if you're running it with one of these new cards. Some old like cards that are Rakdos that are probably demons and devils that you can run it with. Get kind of the plus. The life isn't what you're really there for. It's the ability to make them lose life or maybe discard a card. That's what you're hoping for. You can make a devil. Yeah, again, not the best token. Deals 1 damage to anything when it dies. You know, if you can give them death touch somehow, that's pretty good. If you want to just create them as like sacrifice fodder, that's pretty good. And again, in a draft setting, if you're 3 mana, you make some devils. You know, it protects your commander or protects your planeswalker. They don't want to attack in, kill their things. It's good in other non-commander settings. -7, target player draws 7, loses 7 life. That can kill people later on in the game. Can give you a bunch of juice to load up your hands. Pretty cool. In the whole time you're just hurting people as you're ticking it up. So, you know, pretty cool overall. I don't think it's the best card. It's not the worst card. And it has some pretty cool utility that you can flex around in multiple formats. Now, before we get into the boring cards that I think are pretty boring from the set so far, let's talk about 2 cards that, one, I'm super hyped for, and one, I think other people are super hyped for, but I'm not so hyped for. So let's check it out. Jaxus, the Troublemaker. This card is sick. Personally, when I play standard or other formats, I love mono red. I'm playing aggro, I'm going face. And this card screams face is the place to me. You know, you can pay 2 mana for a 2/3 with haste, draws you cards. It's pretty freaking sick. And its ability, since you're putting it in play with haste, you can activate it, make a copy of something. Maybe you got a really big creature, got 2 of them, and they got haste. So it's pretty nuts what this card can do in a standard environment. And I'm really excited. I might even get back into playing Arena just to play with Jaxus because this card seems nuts. And Commander, there's so many things you can do. It's absolutely crazy the potential this card has. It's just unlimited the things that you can do. And as a commander, making a bunch of copies of things is pretty sick. If anybody played the new D&D mono red commander that you roll dice to make tokens of things, you can know how powerful this effect is in mono red alone. And this commander might do it even better than that one. So I think this commander pretty sick. The alternate art Dope. Love this card. Alright, for the last of our legendaries today, we're talking about Urabrask Heretic Raider. It gets the doubler. You know, I knew this card was gonna be bad. And I posted online, I said this card is gonna be bad. And a bunch of people were like, no, this is what mono red needs. This is gonna be a great card. Look what they did with the other Praetors. And this one got Doghouse again. Haste 4/4 for 5 mana. Alright, you got a Goldspan Dragon with no flying. Not a whole lot going on for you. Beginning your upkeep, you exile top card of your library. You may play it this turn. So you get an extra card per turn, which is pretty cool. I mean, it's like a Valakut Awakening. You play one more, you get a land down, and then you get another card. It's cool. It's like a mono red Phyrexian arena, I guess, for 5 mana. It's just not a whole lot of value to me. And then instead of your opponent's drawing, instead exile a top card, they may play it that turn. So it gives them, instead of drawing a card, they get limited access to their cards. So basically, as long as he's on the battlefield, they get no more cards in their hand from their draw step. Down 1 card maybe each turn. Not the strongest effect, you know. If you have like a Traneth Magistrate in play, yeah, they can't play their hand, or they can't play cards that you exile with it. You kind of lock them out from drawing their first card each turn. It's just like it's very underpowered compared to the other Praetors. It's just not impactful enough to really like get any hype out of me, you know? I think it's got cool like cleaver arms, I guess, but other than that, I think it's just don't play it, ignore it. If it gets played against you, you're like, it's just a 4/4 that makes me, you know, move my card somewhere else. Not that big of a deal. Not that good of a card. Now I just kind of want to go by really quickly of all these new charms. Some of them are cool, some of them are not very cool, and I'll tap into those right now. Obscura Charm. I think it's good. 3 mana, you can reanimate something, you can counter a spell, you can kill some aggro creature, low mana cost thing. Pretty good. I can see it being good in like standard. It can be good in like maybe a dungeons deck in Commander. It has the flexibility and the cool options to be able to be playable, at least. Maestra's Charm, you know, it's pretty bad. I would never run this card in a deck. In these colors, I don't know why you would be looking at the cards and putting some in the graveyard, some in your hand, making opponents lose 3 life and you gain 3 life. Not very impactful in Commander, or in Standard, really. And then dealing 5 damage to a creature or Planeswalker, pretty, you know, minimal effect. It's not going to do a whole lot for you. Just overall, pretty bad. Rividier's Charm. This one is pretty good. It has good flexibility, and a pretty good rate. You know, most of these effects you're getting in other cards for the same mana cost, so you're not really losing much for being a flexible card, which is pretty cool. Target opponent sacrifices a creature or Planeswalker with the highest mana value. Really good effect. Can save you a lot in those kind of sacrifice decks, because you normally want to get their biggest thing. When people have like a whiteboard, they're like, oh, I'll get rid of this elf or something. But no, you're getting their juiciest thing, so it's a good effect. You get a look at the top 3 cards of your deck. You can play them. Always good to have that kind of extra draw power-ish card. And then it can exile graveyards, which is a pretty underutilized effect in Commander. Don't ever run it if you're playing against me, because I love my graveyard. But in general, you should probably be playing more graveyard hate than you actually are right now. So, pretty good card, very flexible. I think it fits tons of it. Broker's Charm, pretty friggin' busted. Bonkers Charm, more like it. You get +1 on a creature, deals damage equal to its power to a creature or Planeswalker opponent controls. That's the gas, you know. You make your guy bigger, you're swinging in with it. You're also killing something, a blocker, what have you. Taking out someone's commander. Super cool. Just really good effect in general. Destroying an enchantment, nutso, and then drawing 2 cards. It's got like 3 different removals. Can take out Planeswalkers, creatures, enchantments, or drawing cards. Flexibility is nuts. The things you're able to do with this is pretty nuts. I think this is a gas card. Definitely the best charm, in my opinion. And then last but not least, we got the Cabaret Charm. You know, deals damage equal to the number of creatures you control to target creature or Planeswalker. I hate these kinds of effects because they're so reliant on like you not being interacted with. And normally when you're creating all these things, you're going to be like pretty aggro game plan, and people are going to be like, this person needs to get punished for doing all this stuff. So I don't think it's the most reliable thing. If it went face, it'd be awesome. But just going to creatures and stuff, it's just not the best effect. You know, it has too many variables to it. Creatures getting +1/+1 can trample. It's like Triumph for the Horde without infect. Pretty good effect at 3 mana. I mean, it can make your board do insane things, especially with jetmere. You know, double strike, trample. Nuts. And then with the last one, making some tokens, it's all right. I mean, you don't really want to run it for the tokens. I feel like you want it for the other things, but you know, in a tight spot, 3 mana for 2 1/1s. I feel like it's the most taxed mode out of all the charms. So yeah, not the best. As I maybe made clear, I'm the most hyped for Zander. That's the card I am just itching to play, itching to build. Can't wait to make people groan and moan with that guy. Gonna be a sick deck. What decks or what cards are you guys hyped about? Because I think talking about all this stuff is so fun. Love talking to you guys about what you like in this game and what stands out to you. Maybe you like jetmere, being pretty busted. Maybe you can convince me that the Esper ones are good. I think they're pretty boring, but you know, maybe you could even, I doubt you could, but if you can convince me that tapping goat commander is good, hey man, I'm open to hear about it. I want to argue about that one because that one seems terrible. Anyways, if you are planning to order any of these cards, or if you like any of the cards from our upcoming gameplay episodes, make sure to go check out our TCG Player affiliate link down below in the description. Helps out the channel a bunch, and they're doing some promotion this month where if we get more people referred to it, we get more bonus bucks from or something. I'm really not super involved in that whole thing, but it'd mean a ton if you guys could help out achieving that little goal. And you know, check out our merch, stuff like that. I'm gonna be commissioning hopefully an artist soon, make some cool t-shirts for us, and a whole bunch of cool stuff. Right now in the process of rebuilding the little studio, so hopefully you guys are hyped for the things to come. Anyways, thanks for watching. See you guys